Climate change is one of the defining challenges of our era, a global phenomenon that knows no borders, affecting every continent, economy, and community. Its impacts are far-reaching, from rising sea levels and intensifying storms to prolonged droughts and shifting agricultural patterns. Yet, as the climate crisis accelerates, another set of policies, those governing national borders, are shaping how humanity responds to these mounting threats. The intersection of climate change and border policies is complex, and the choices nations make at their frontiers can either foster resilience or deepen vulnerability for millions. At its core, climate change is a global threat. Greenhouse gases released in one part of the world contribute to warming and weather disruptions everywhere. No country is immune, but the consequences are not distributed equally. Low-lying island nations face existential threats from rising seas. Arid regions endure intensifying droughts and crop failures. Coastal communities contend with more frequent and severe hurricanes. For many, especially in developing countries, these changes threaten livelihoods, food security, and even survival. As the environment becomes less hospitable, people are compelled to move. Climate-driven migration is not a distant possibility. It is already unfolding. Droughts in Central America push families from their farms. Cyclones in the Pacific displace entire communities. Floods in South Asia force millions to seek higher ground. According to the World Bank, as many as 143 million people in Latin America, Sub-Saharan Africa, and South Asia could become internal climate migrants by 2050. Many more will seek safety and opportunity across borders. Yet border policies, decisions made by individual nations, can profoundly shape these migration flows. When borders are closed or heavily restricted, people may find themselves trapped in regions that are increasingly inhospitable. Without the ability to move, they are forced to endure worsening conditions, failing crops, water shortages, rising temperatures, and the ever-present threat of disaster. These trapped populations are among the most vulnerable, as they lack both the means and the legal pathways to escape danger and build new lives elsewhere. Restrictive border policies can also push migrants into perilous situations. For example, the prevention through deterrence approach along the U.S.-Mexico border has funneled migrants into remote desert areas. As climate change raises temperatures and increases the frequency of deadly heat waves, these crossings become even more hazardous. Between 2000 and 2020, over 7,000 migrants died attempting to cross the U.S.-Mexico border, and climate change is making these routes deadlier still. The legal framework for those displaced by climate change is also lacking. International law does not currently recognize climate refugees as a protected category. This means that people fleeing environmental disasters or slow-onset climate impacts often have no legal grounds for asylum or resettlement in other countries. As a result, many are left in limbo, unable to return home, yet unwelcome elsewhere. This legal gap compounds the challenges faced by climate migrants and complicates efforts to manage migration humanely and effectively. In contrast, more open and flexible border policies can provide vital opportunities for adaptation and resilience. When people are able to move, they can escape the worst impacts of climate change and rebuild their lives in safer, more stable environments. Legal migration pathways, humanitarian visas, and regional compacts can help facilitate this movement, reducing the risks associated with irregular migration and supporting both migrants and host communities. One example of such an approach is the recent treaty between Australia and Tuvalu. Recognizing the existential threat that sea level rise poses to Tuvalu, Australia has agreed to provide special migration pathways for Tuvaluan citizens, along with funding to support adaptation efforts at home. This kind of arrangement acknowledges the reality of climate-driven displacement and offers a model for other countries to follow. Migration can also benefit receiving communities. New arrivals can help address labor shortages, revitalize aging populations, and contribute to economic growth. With thoughtful planning and investment, migration can be a tool for both adaptation and development. turning a potential crisis into an opportunity for renewal. Of course, migration is not a panacea. Many people will prefer to remain in their homes if given the means to adapt. Investments in climate resilience, such as improved infrastructure, drought-resistant crops, and disaster preparedness, can help reduce the need for migration in the first place. International cooperation and development assistance are crucial in building the capacity of vulnerable regions to withstand climate shocks. But for those who must move, the ability to cross borders safely and legally can mean the difference between life and death. Closing borders in the face of climate change does not halt the movement of people. It only makes it more dangerous and desperate. It can also strain international relations, as neighboring countries grapple with the humanitarian consequences of closed frontiers. The challenge, then, is to balance national interests with global responsibilities. Security concerns, economic considerations, and social cohesion are all legitimate factors in shaping border policies. But so too are humanitarian values, international law, and the recognition that climate change is a shared threat requiring collective action. Integrated solutions are needed. Policies that promote environmental protection, sustainable development, and social equity can reduce the drivers of migration. Regional and international agreements can provide frameworks for cooperation and burden sharing. Legal reforms can ensure that those displaced by climate change are not left without protection. Ultimately, the intersection of climate change and border policies is a test of our shared humanity. Will we respond to the climate crisis by building higher walls, or by extending a helping hand to those in need? Will we see migration as a threat to be managed, or as an opportunity for adaptation and renewal? The choices we make today will shape the world of tomorrow, for ourselves and for generations to come. As climate change accelerates, closing borders may offer the illusion of security, but it risks trapping millions in harm's way and undermining global resilience. By embracing more open, flexible, and humane approaches, we can turn migration into a tool for adaptation, foster solidarity, and build a more just and sustainable future for all.